Mining job hunt video. Welcome to Australian Mining for New Starters, and in today's video we are going to collect jobs for the sponsors Mining Jobs to Apply For page. So these are all the jobs from around the country that we think you should be applying for once you've done one of their intro to underground mining courses or their work ready package. So let's jump over to Seek and type underground in and have a look at where the jobs are. So to start with, this is a full crew ad from KCA. KCA have taken people from the training in the past, so it's a good place to start with them if you've done it. They've got lots of opportunity around, and they specialise in hard rock underground as a recruitment company and labour hire as well. So the next one is with Aries. And if you've been following along, you'll know that you'll be able to apply for Aries directly at the back of the Australian Mining seminar after you've redone your resume. So that's good. This is an interesting one. An underground truck driver roles, or number of roles around Kalgoorlie, but they are looking for only 8-hour shifts. So I'm not sure whether that's going to be just crib relief or what the story is with that. But yeah, that's what they're looking for. Service crew. That's coal. Underground shotcrete. Experienced nippers. We'll grab that one. Because go back and have a look at some of the other videos when I talk about experience. You can have a look at those. There isn't a lot of experience around, so most of these employers are having to take entry-level people for these jobs. So being ready for it is the way to go. And with this one, we're just going to scroll down this page and have a look, because this is a perfect example of what we were talking about in the last couple of job hunt videos, about how when you get down to what they really want about you, valid driver's license, underground experience is preferred. Alright, so preferred underground experience. So it's back from that thing where you can, they want an experienced person, but they're willing to accept somebody that is preferred. So anyway, yep, that's what I was getting at with the preferred. Entry-level Diamond Driller Offsiders, that's niche, that's not the one that I want. Those guys are advertising all the time, you see them every week. Norton Gold. Shout out to Mr. M, who got a job there over 18 months ago now. So, sounds like he's going great guns. So this is entry-level driller offsider for New South Wales. And the interesting thing about this ad was that it said that they were fly out of Sydney, which is something new. So maybe they've been able to put an arrangement in to get people flying down instead of having to drive yourself. But it was still available at drive-in, drive-out. Bogger operators, ventilation, experienced people. Alright, next page. Underground bogger, fitter, operator, charge up. Flamenco service crew, construction operators, development operators, charge up, overseas, pace crew, Westville, we'll have that one. Westville have taken a few people from us in the past, so it's worth applying for them. Looking for trainers, drillers assistants. Production supervisor, shaft fitter, Barminco, charge up. Support technician, underground. So this will be a service crew. Yep, and service crew, will put that one down. Because you might be able to get on as an entry level for that. Diesel fitter. Lots of fitting jobs around. Talked about that in a few other videos. Best way in is, if you want an apprenticeship, is probably to do your apprenticeship somewhere else and then get headhunted as soon as you finish that apprenticeship, which is what a lot of the mining companies do. They do have apprentices, but they don't have many, or as many as they need. They normally just headhunt everybody once they finish their apprenticeship with the transport or farming or construction industry. So this is a truck operator down at the nickel mine in Tasmania. So that's a good one. Diesel mechanic, plant fitter, long dump truck operator, haul truck, surface mining, shotcrete, bumming cat Agi. Look at that. Underground grader operator again. They advertised this job last week and they did interviews for it, and I think a few people went for it and didn't get it. If they're advertising it again, I would be applying again, because if they couldn't find what exactly they wanted, they might have another look at you the next time round. Page 5. Ancillary operators, all-rounders. They're all surface jobs with experience. I've noticed an alarming trend with some of the surface jobs, or with a lot of the surface jobs. They tend to be fixed term time periods, so they only want to give you a year or 2 year contracted instead of a permanent job. So that's something to look out for when you apply for some of these jobs, whether it's actually a full-time job or you're only on there for a fixed term, because they're slipping a lot of those fixed term jobs in, especially with the surface traineeships. The other thing that I wanted to talk about in this video, since it looks like it's gone a bit dry here, is the bad advice, or not the bad advice that's going around, but the advice that people give on the social media pages. Because over the journey, we've got our own social media page. The problem that we find with the social media pages is that they don't actually, a lot of them are run by people that don't have any mining experience, and they don't answer the actual questions. And there's some big pages that just don't answer basic questions. Like the basic question that gets asked all the time is, should I do the tickets and the S11? And instead of just giving a straight answer like admin should, like we do on our Facebook pages and our social media pages, they allow everybody to have a bit of a free-for-all at the bottom. And then it depends on which area of the industry that person's from what response you get. Because if that person is from coal in Queensland, then they're going to tell you, yes, you need tickets, but sometimes they do it, that they issue them on site, or they do it as part of your traineeship, and you shouldn't go and pay for them. Yet everywhere else in the production mining side of the industry, like in hard rock underground, which is what we specialise in, all the employers have to issue all their own on-site equipment tickets and on-site procedures, and they can't use the S11 because the S11's only for coal in Queensland. So instead of actually saying that and communicating that simple answer to the person, they allow a great big storm of different advice and different answers, and people have fights and all sorts of crazy shit happens. I just don't know why they, as the admin, you just don't put down what the right answer is right from the word go, which, you know, is easy to do. And the other thing that people get confused with all that is they get confused the difference between a production mining job, a civil job, and a maintenance job. Because maintenance is allowed to use the R2 tickets as well, and that's where shutdown falls into it. Shutdown's maintenance. Civil and construction is allowed to use the R2 tickets on site because they designated their area of the mine site when you're doing that sort of stuff as a construction site for that time period that they're there. That's why you're allowed to do that. Everywhere else on the mine site proper, if you go and work in the pit or underground or anywhere like that and you're using a bit of equipment, the owner of the mine or the person that's representing the owner won't allow a ticket to be imported onto the mine because they have to be able to show in a court of law that they've done everything they can to train you and keep you safe. And to do that, they need on-site equipment tickets and on-site procedures. So that's where you stand with that. If you want a job in production in coal in Queensland, then yeah, maybe those tickets might help you a little bit. But it's a lot of money to spend on something that might only help you a little bit. They're not going to help you get a hard rock underground job, and they're not going to help you get a job in the pits around the country, because all the employers, they have to issue their own on-site tickets and procedures. So I hope that clears that up a little bit. It just really annoys me. And there are other places too around the industry where the information's just bad. It's just wrong. And it makes it hard for people to come through. That's one of the reasons why they get me to do the YouTube channel like this. And I answer people's questions, is because, you know, the mining background that I've got, I know the answers. I've had to learn, to get my shift boss's ticket, I've had to study the Mining Act and regulations here in WA inside and out. Fun thing to do. But it just shows you that instead of answering the question like you should about tickets in mining, they let everybody have a free-for-all underneath, and everybody's going from whichever area of the industry they're in, and that gives them their own perspective. If they're in construction, they think everybody needs tickets. If they're in shutdown work, it's the same thing. But if you get somebody that's in hard rock underground or working in one of the deep pits around the country, their answer will be, don't waste your money, because the owner of the mine has to issue all their on-site equipment tickets and on-site procedures for all the crew. And it is what it is. Bugs the hell out of me the more times that I look at things. It allows people to give misinformation, or allows misinformation to spread around quite rapidly. So Barminco grader operator, we'll grab that. So that's my little rant over with for this jobs video. I am going to do a follow-up video, I think, about it, just to illustrate what I was talking about. And we'll take it from there. Haven't seen too many jobs in a while, and it is getting mining services, drill fitter, Olympic Dam, the BHP, they come up with some really crazy job titles. Entry-level driller offsider. Grab that one. Further exploration. But anyway, I think we'll call this our last page. And we'll have a look at the prices and then have a look at our map. Oh, gold room technician. No, that is experience. Train assessor mining. Okay, so let's have a look at our metal prices. So you can see gold is just under $2,700 an ounce Australian. Copper is just over $13,000 a tonne Australian, and nickel is just under 40,000 tonne Australian. So it's stayed pretty much the same, which is really, really good. And if we come over and have a look at our coal price, it's $131 a tonne. So that's come down quite a lot, and you can see how it's fallen. That's when I first started to report the fall that was going on. It gained a little bit of ground, but as you can see, it's coming back down again. That's why we tell people that if you're jumping over from if you're jumping into a coal mining job in the last 18 months, you probably won't have one in 18 months' time, because that price is coming down to a point where a lot of these mines are going to become iffy again. And that's why we point everybody towards gold and all the base metals that are going into these batteries. And that's where all these mines are located around the country. And as you can see, there's lots going on in every state, and we pretty much loaded up jobs from every state in the country today that you could be applying for. There were a lot of jobs loaded up in Queensland last week that were owner-operator, and a few that were with contractors. But yeah, there's work all over the country. If you really, really want a job really quickly, and you want to get into it as quickly as possible, then my recommendation is to do the Intro to Underground Mining course. Make the changes to your resume, and make sure that you study. You've got to be the full bottle. You can't go into it half-assed. If you go into it the full bottle, then it drips off you, and it's an easy call for the foreman or the project manager to hire you. If you're half-assing it, it's an easy call for them to go, no thanks, next too. So just make sure that you prepare yourself properly. But if you do, head straight to Kalgoorlie. There's 50 mines within 100 k's of Kalgoorlie that are all desperate for people. And if you can show up looking like you can get thrown in the deep end, that's going to be good enough for most of the employers around there, and that's how you'll get your start. Yes, it's going to be a bit of a pain in the ass with accommodation and all that sort of stuff. We're in a boom. It's always like that in a boom, but you'll find a way if you're committed to it. So either head for Kalgoorlie or Mount Isa. There's lots of fly and fly out that you can apply for, but it's fly and fly out. Some people jag the job straight away. Others it takes 4 to 6 to 8 weeks to get themselves a start. And it's just the way that it works with fly and fly out. It works a little bit. It works a little bit slower than it does if you're actually standing in the mining town in front of them. And because there's a lot more need in the mining towns than there is with the fly and fly out, because everybody wants fly and fly out. It bends to people's lifestyles. Majority of people that are applying don't have to relocate. All they have to do is drive to the airport from their current residence. So just make sure that when you do it and you pull the trigger, you make sure that you've prepared yourself properly, because you really, in some of these cases, you don't get a lot of chances at this stuff. You only get one chance to make a good impression. And if you make the contact in the car park or at the pub or wherever, and they see that you know how the mine works, then you've generally got something to offer them. But if you just make that contact and then go, hang on a minute, I'll meet you back here in a week and a half after I've learned how the mine works, that's, they're not going to have a bar of that. They're just going to move on to the next person. So make sure you go into it with all your ducks in a row. So I hope you found that information helpful, and I will post the jobs up where I normally do on the YouTube channel, and we'll send them around on Facebook. And if you are looking at getting information off social media, just make sure that you know who talked, where that person's come from in the industry and what their background is, so you can know what type of advice they're trying to give. Because somebody that's in coal in Queensland is going to give completely different advice to somebody that's in iron ore in the north of WA, and that's going to be different advice again to somebody that's working in a hard rock underground mine somewhere else around the country. So I hope that makes sense, and if you could share this information and like the channel and like the video as well, please. Thanks.